Hello guys, once again it's Matt, and today we have another video. Thank you all the members, all the patrons. Make sure to subscribe and let's get into it. So today I wanted to talk about the J-8 guys. So yeah, as you know, a lot of people have been asking as well. We need a new version of the J-8 at least. Well, it is a very limited aircraft right now. It really is. It always was since day one. It was an aircraft that was limited against even the MiG-23s in the BVR, and I mean it's just a very limited aircraft. And yes, it has a lower BR than top tier, but nonetheless, I think a new version needs to be added, especially before something like a J-10 comes, or J-11 or Su-27SK, something very advanced like that. I think it would be fun to have middle ground between that. It is really hard to find proper information about these aircraft, because at one point some sources say one thing and then other sources say the exact opposite of it. So it is hard to actually find proper information. But I found two versions that most people talk about, and I think it would be the most interesting versions to be added. That's the J-8F and the J-8H. First of all, let's talk about the F variant. It was derivated from the C, which is basically a B with an IFR system and some other modifications that they tried to do with like some domestic plus NATO kind of technology, or not NATO, even like Israeli or something like that. So it was a modification that never went forward, the C variant. And then they made the F based off of that. So it has an IFR system, which is the in-flight refueling system. And that's where things get a little bit shady. It depends on the source. Some tell that uses the better type 1473 radar, which is based off of 1471 radar, the type 1471, which is an MTI radar with around 70 kilometers of range. You cannot know for sure, but yeah, it's problematic. Even some sources claim that it uses the 1492 type radar, which is even better than that. So it is hard to find proper information on which radar this thing actually uses. It might have been using one at the initial phases of the operation, right? And then afterwards it would basically get another thing. If it's based off of the 1471, and this is the main radar that we want to talk about, it is a radar that, even though it was initially thought to be in the development, right, they started with the idea of using medium PIF, TWS, high PIF modes. It was kind of too expensive, and they basically didn't have the ability, not the ability, but they were still like properly learning how to do these types of radars. These are very complex things, right? So they decided to go for an MTI radar. If you remember, MTI is the same type of pulse Doppler filtering, or just Doppler filtering, as we have in the MiG-23s, the Mirage F1. So it is a very old technology. It is not as good as pulse Doppler. It's normally cheaper. That's why normally people, aircraft used back in the day this type of tech. But it is an old tech. It wasn't the best at the time, and it's still not the greatest thing ever. And if it is the 71, it has 70 kilometers of range, which doesn't seem a lot, but I mean, it's better than most aircraft from that kind of line, right? So I think the normal J-8B has barely 40 kilometers of range, so it's really bad, right? And I mean, if it gets a detection at 70 kilometers, it would be even better than the F-16, right? So it's not that bad, I think. But it would be a little bit limited if it is an MTI radar. The weaponry of this aircraft would be the normal PL-5s, but also be able to use the PL-8s and even the PL-9. Some sources claim that they can carry the PL-9. It is a missile developed inside China, right? And it is basically an infrared short-range missile as well. It is kind of a mix between a PL-5 and a PL-7, something like that. It's kind of weird. And it uses the sensor of the PL-8, which is the Python 3. So it's a very weird design, but it is an aircraft missile that could be added as well. It should be very, very good actually. It is a very modern missile nonetheless, right? 1989. But yeah, these would be the IR missiles. I think you could carry 6 of them. And then 2 radar-guided missiles. The radar-guided missiles would be the same. The Ajude missile, the PL-11, I think it's called. Sometimes it's called PL-10, sometimes PL-11, but I think it's the PL-11. It is a missile that doesn't have a lot of energy. It is a little bit better than a Sky Flash in the energy department, a normal Sky Flash. So yeah, it's worse than the Super Temp. So not even with that, it wouldn't be like, oh my god, that's so good, right? But it would be better than what we have right now with the B variant, because it would mean that it is using the same missile but with a way better radar, you know? And then we have the J-8H. This is a fighter bomber variant. So yeah, not only it can carry the missiles and stuff, it can carry more types of air-to-ground weaponry, including a YJ-91 anti-radiation missile. So yeah, cooler even if you think about it. The missiles will be the same, the PL-5, 8, 9, and 11. And some sources, they say that it uses the 1471 radar. So remember, the same radar that we talked about it in the F variant. So MTI, 70 kilometers of range, but there are some other sources that claim that it is a different radar. Nonetheless, it is either like an MTI 70 kilometer range radar or like an 100 kilometer pulse Doppler high frequency radar, but it is hard to tell. They need to do their own research because it is really hard to find information about these things. But anyway, I think it would be a very good addition, and these 2 variants, even though we kind of don't know what radar you would use, it would definitely be better than the J-8. Carry more missiles probably, together with just having an overall better performance using the PL-11, right, to the Ajude. So I think it would be a very cool addition, and it would be an amazing step up from the J-8B to the future of the Chinese tech tree on that China specifically part of the game, right? So we don't know exactly, you know, what it's going to come first. As I said, we can see a J-10 with just the pulse Doppler radar and the PL-11s as well. Or we can see in the future the Su-27SK or the J-11, you know. There is a lot of options there, but I think the J-8F or the J-8H would be an incredible step up from that and a middle ground between what we have right now and what we can have in the future, right? But anyway, let me know in the comments. The history behind these aircraft are very cool, and hopefully we get added another version of it. I love the J-8, but we do need a new version. The B is lacking a lot, so yeah, hopefully we see that in the soonish future, right? Anyway, I hope you enjoyed. Make sure to subscribe, and I see you guys on the next one. So bye guys, see you.